Hey guys, welcome back to the Cracking the Coding interview series. Today we're going to be solving a problem called string rotation. Feel free to pause the video to read through what the problem is asking for. However, I find the examples more descriptive. So given two strings s1 and s2. Okay, we're given two strings s1 and s2. In this case, s1 is water bottle and s2 is a rotated version of water bottle, rotated at the t. Okay, the t was removed from the front and placed in the back. Okay, we're also given a method called isSubstring that we're allowed to call only once. We have to figure out if s1 is a rotation of s2, or I guess the reverse. S2 is a rotation of s1. I guess in both cases, if s1 is a rotation of s2, s2 would also be a rotation of s1. Okay, but with only one call to the isSubstring method. Again, feel free to pause this video. However, this video is really similar. Actually, this problem is really similar to a problem in LeetCode. Okay, and here's the LeetCode problem. Feel free to also pause at this point just to read through the LeetCode problem, but it's really similar. The only difference is we're not provided the isSubstring method here. We have to write that out ourselves. Without further ado, let's go ahead and program this solution and see what it's going to look like. But however, let's go through the hints first. I find this last hint very helpful, and the last hint says, think about what happens when you concatenate erbottle, which is in our case is s2. If you concatenate him with himself, what do you get? You see, this is his concatenated version with himself. And do you see s1 in there? S1 is the green part, water bottle. So you concatenate s2 with himself, okay, you get the full string where s1 is in. Okay, without further ado, let's go ahead and program this and see. So first step, as always, I'm gonna create my function, but it says to assume we're given a method called isSubstring. In this case, we weren't given, so I'm gonna have to create him, and I'm gonna say he takes in two strings, string 1 and string 2. Again, I could have said s1 and s2, but it doesn't matter what you call them, to be honest. For now, I'm gonna say pass. Okay, so also this is gonna be our main function we're gonna edit. So I'm gonna call him, let's define our main function, rotate string. Okay, it's gonna take in two inputs, s1 and s2. This is the function that's gonna tell us if those two strings are rotated or not. For now, I'm gonna say pass also. And now let's create our driver code that's gonna call these functions. So our first driver code, let's define s1. S1 is simply gonna be equal to water bottle. Let's go ahead and define s2. S2, again, like the example, it's just gonna be simply equal to whatever this pronounces out to. Okay, now let's go ahead and call our function again, which is the rotate string function, right? Because remember, we're to assume we were given the substring function. So first, let's edit our substring function. Simply what we want to say is, if string 2, it doesn't matter which one you pick in general, but I'm just gonna say if string 1 happens to be in string 2, if the first string happens to be in the second string, true, else return false. Now at this point, this is clean, this works completely. Now let's go ahead and edit our second function. Okay, all we have to do is say if is substring, so a call to this function. Let's call this function if is substring. And remember here is the essential part. Remember the hint we were given, concatenate s2 with himself. What do you get? s1 is in there somehow, so we're gonna call this isSubstring, we're gonna call him s2. Does s2 happen to be in s1 plus s1? Okay, this is the concatenation of himself. If this is the case, return true, else return false. Let's try this out and see what happens. Okay, so it's true because it's obviously in the case, but let's add something to s1. Let's add a t in the end, or r or y, it doesn't matter. This should obviously return false, right? So this returns false. What does s2 look like once we concatenate him with himself? Okay, let's see what he looks like. I'm gonna concatenate him with himself. Okay, s2, right? Actually, let's do for s1. Water bottle, concatenate him with himself. This is actually what he looks like. But can you see s2? I can see s2 in here, but there's a er in the end. Okay, there's a er in the end. So what happens when I add an er to the end of s2? Let's see, er. Let's run this. It gives us a true, but obviously this guy is not in this guy. This guy is not a rotation of this guy, right? But it gives us a true. So this means we're gonna need a second check up here. So we're gonna say if length of s1 equal length of s2. and. So we need this check of length just to make sure. So now it should be perfect. Now it should give us correctly false. And when we take out this ER and make it back a rotation, it gives us the right answer. So this is the right solution. However, I love clean code. So we can rewrite this solution simply as return here, string 1 and string 2. So I can literally change this solution into this and make our code a lot cleaner, okay? It's still gonna work correctly. I change this guy. I can also do the same thing here. I can literally take this up, take this return statement, put it right here, and literally delete everybody else. Again, it works fine, but just for visualization, I'm just gonna put parentheses around this guy. You don't have to be honest. It's not important. And I'm gonna put around this guy and around this guy, but this is unimportant. It still works correctly. Now let's go ahead to our LeetCode. Again, keep in mind in the LeetCode problem we weren't given substring. So all I'm doing now is just making this check manually. Again, it wasn't S1 and S2, it's S1 and go. Again, feel free to read the problem over link in description, or feel free to pause the video earlier when I showed the problem. And also I'm manually saying this in there if string 1 is in string 2. If S1 is in the concatenated version, you see I'm not making a function call here. So let's go ahead and submit this code and see what happens. Bam, accepted faster than 79% of people. So say we wanted to define our isSubstring function. So I'm just gonna say def is sub. Since I'm defining this function in a class, right, the first word I need is keyword self, okay, comma, okay. What inputs is he gonna take? He's gonna take 2 inputs, okay. I'm gonna call them S1 and S2. So he's gonna take S1 and S2, and what is he gonna do with it? Again, just like here, I'm just gonna copy and paste this. Actually, I'm gonna say return. I'm gonna call this, actually let me call this string 1 just like I did, and string 2. So I'm just gonna, instead of saying this, I'm gonna call this here. I'm gonna self dot is substring go S1 plus S, actually S plus S. Let's go ahead and run this just to make sure it works all right. Okay, accepted. Let's go ahead and submit this and see. Bam, it became faster, okay? So that's pretty good. However, we can also do this. We're doing a plus here, but we can actually change it to S multiplied by 2. So let's go ahead and submit this also. Okay, it's not as fast, okay? But that's it for the video, guys. I hope it was helpful in showing you how to solve this problem, and I'll see you in the next one.